a derelict ship forgotten by all, until a human engineer made it a galactic powerhouse. Part 1: The Forgotten Wreck. The Graveyard of Four was where ships came to die. Thousands of broken vessels floated between the asteroids. Some were old warships with holes in their sides. Others were cargo haulers that had seen better days. The Galactic Conqueror dumped everything here that they did not want anymore. Hana guided her small work pod through the floating wreckage. She had been doing this job for 6 years now. Find old ships, strip them for parts, sell the metal. It was not exciting work, but it paid well enough. Her employer, a merchant named, had sent her here alone, were tall beings with skin and 4 arms. They were known for being cheap, was no different. There should be a freighter somewhere in Sector 9, had told her through the communication screen. Get the power cores, leave everything else. Hana checked her scanner as she flew deeper into the graveyard. The freighter should be close, but something else caught her attention, a strange reading on her screen. It was faint, almost hidden behind an asteroid. She changed direction, the reading grew stronger, and then she saw it. The ship was unlike anything in the graveyard. It was black, but not the black of space. This was deeper, like looking into a hole that had no bottom. The shape was wrong too. Other ships had straight lines and sharp corners. This one curved like it had been grown rather than built. Hana stopped her pod and stared. The ship was half buried in a large asteroid. It looked old, very old, older than any ship she had ever seen. "What are you?" she whispered. Her scanner gave strange numbers. The ship appeared dead. No power, no life signs, but deep inside something pulsed. A tiny spark of energy, like a heart that refused to stop beating. Hana knew she should call. She should report this and wait for instructions. That was the smart thing to do, the safe thing. But Hana had never been good at doing the safe thing. She docked her pod against the ship's hull. The metal was warm under her gloved hand. That should not be possible. Nothing stayed warm in the cold of space. She found what looked like a door and touched it. The surface rippled like water, and the door opened. Inside, the air was breathable. Her suit sensors confirmed it. Hana removed her helmet and took a careful breath. The air tasted old but clean. The corridor stretched before her, lit by a soft blue glow that came from the walls themselves. The walls were not made of normal metal. They looked organic, like the inside of a living creature. When she touched them, they felt like skin. Hana walked deeper into the ship. Her footsteps made no sound. The floor seemed to absorb them. She passed rooms filled with equipment she could not understand, screens that showed nothing, chairs that were shaped for bodies very different from her own. Everything was covered in dust, but nothing was broken. The ship was waiting. At the center of the vessel, she found a large chamber. In the middle stood a pillar of crystal, dark and silent. Around it, consoles formed a circle. This was the bridge, the heart of the ship. Hana approached the central pillar. Her reflection looked back at her from its surface. She reached out her hand. The moment her fingers touched the crystal, everything changed. Light exploded through the chamber. The walls began to glow brighter. A sound filled the air, deep and resonant, like a giant waking from sleep. The consoles around her flickered to life. And then a voice spoke. The words were not in any language Hana knew. They were not words at all. They were feelings, images, a rush of emotion that flooded her mind. Loneliness, hope, recognition. The ship was alive, and it was happy to see her. Hana stumbled backward. What is happening? The ship did not answer in words. Instead, she felt it. The vessel was old, so very old. It had been sleeping for millions of years, waiting for someone. Many beings had found it before. Dozens of species over countless centuries, but none of them were right. The ship had rejected them all. Until now. Hana felt the ship's curiosity. It was examining her, looking into her mind. It found something there that it liked. Something in the way human brains worked, the way humans felt emotions. the way they could adapt and change. The doors sealed shut behind her. The ship began to move, pulling free from the asteroid with a groan of ancient metal. "Wait," Hannah ran to the door. "It would not open. Stop, I need to get back to my pod." The ship sent her another wave of feelings: calm, safety, trust. But Hannah did not feel calm. She felt trapped. The vessel accelerated, leaving the graveyard of 4 behind. Through a window that had not been there before, Hannah watched the asteroid shrink into the distance. Her pod was still docked outside, but her communication equipment was in there. She had no way to call for help. She was alone on an alien ship that was taking her somewhere unknown. Hannah pressed her hands against the window. Fear and wonder mixed in her chest. She was an engineer. She fixed broken things. She understood machines. But this was not a machine. This was something else entirely. The ship hummed around her, and she felt its presence in her mind like a second heartbeat. It was trying to communicate, trying to show her things. But the images came too fast. She could not understand them yet. One thing was clear: the ship had chosen her. After millions of years of waiting, it had found what it was looking for. A human. Hannah took a deep breath and made a decision. She could panic, or she could learn. She was stuck here either way, so she would do what she always did when faced with something she did not understand. She would figure it out. "Okay," she said to the empty air, to the ship that was listening. "You want me? Fine, but we are going to do this my way. First, you are going to slow down. Then you are going to show me how you work. And then we are going to have a long talk about boundaries." The ship's response was something like laughter, warm, amused, accepting. For the first time in millions of years, the ancient vessel had a pilot. And for the first time in her life, Hannah had found something that needed her as much as she needed answers. The stars stretched outside the window as the ship carried her toward an unknown destination. Whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. A derelict ship forgotten by all, until a human engineer made it a galactic powerhouse. Part 2: The Bonding. 3 days had passed since the ship had taken Hannah from the graveyard. 3 days of floating through space with no idea where she was going. 3 days of trying to understand the strange vessel that had chosen her. Hannah sat on the floor of the bridge, her back against the central crystal pillar. The ship sent her images constantly now. Fragments of memory, pieces of a story from long ago, but they came in flashes, too quick and too strange for her human mind to process. "Slower," she said out loud. "You have to go slower." The ship tried. It really did. Hannah could feel its effort, like a giant trying to speak gently to a small child. But the gap between them was too wide. The ship thought in ways that humans did not. Hannah closed her eyes and focused. She was an engineer. She solved problems. This was just another problem. "Show me who made you," she said. An image formed in her mind. Tall beings with long limbs and eyes that glowed like stars. They moved with grace and purpose. They built things that lasted forever. They called themselves the architects. "Architects," Hannah repeated. "Okay, what happened to them?" Pain, loss, fire across the stars. The image showed fleets burning, worlds dying, the architects running, hiding, building ships like this one to carry their knowledge forward. Then nothing. Silence. The long sleep. Hannah opened her eyes. Tears ran down her face. The ship's grief was so strong that it had become her own. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so sorry." The ship sent warmth in response. Gratitude. It had been alone for so long. Now someone was listening. Hannah wiped her eyes and stood up. "We need to understand each other better. There must be a way." The ship showed her an image. 2 circles connecting, becoming one. A bond. A link between pilot and vessel. The architects had done this. Their ships were not just machines. They were partners. Extensions of their pilots' minds. "You want to link with me? Connect our minds." Affirmation, hope, but also warning. The process was not easy, it would change her. Hana thought about it. She could refuse. She could wait until the ship reached wherever it was going and then find a way home. She could go back to her old life, stripping dead ships for parts. But something had changed inside her. She had felt the ship's loneliness. She understood what it meant to be forgotten. She had been feeling that way herself for years, working alone in the depths of space while the galaxy moved on without her. "Okay," she said, "show me how." The ship guided her to a chamber she had not seen before. In the center was a chair made of the same organic metal as the walls. It was shaped for a body larger than hers, but as she approached, it changed. The material flowed and shifted until it fit her perfectly. Hana sat down. The chair wrapped around her gently, holding her in place. Above her, a helmet descended from the ceiling. It was covered in thin wires that glowed with soft light. Fear gripped her heart, but she did not move. The helmet touched her head, and then the world disappeared. Hana was everywhere at once. She was the ship. She felt the hull around her like skin. She felt the engines like muscles. She felt the empty corridors like veins waiting for blood. It was too much. She screamed, but she had no mouth. She reached for something solid, but she had no hands. The ship caught her. It wrapped around her mind like a blanket, holding her together when she was about to fall apart. Slowly, carefully, it taught her how to be two things at once, human and ship, small and vast. Time lost meaning. It could have been hours or days. Hana learned to see through the ship's sensors. She learned to feel the stars like warmth on her face. She learned to move through space like swimming through water. And she learned the ship's true nature. It was not just a vehicle. It was a mind, old and wise and terribly lonely. It had waited so long for someone who could understand. "You need a name," Hana said when she finally returned to her own body. She was lying on the floor of the chamber, exhausted but whole. The connection was still there, humming in the back of her mind. "I cannot keep calling you the ship." The vessel waited. It had no preference. Names were a human thing. Hana thought about it. She thought about the stars she had seen through the ship's eyes. She thought about the light it carried inside, the hope that had survived millions of years of darkness. She said it was a Korean word, it meant star. "I will call you." The ship accepted the name with joy. It liked the sound. Hana spent the next several days learning what could do. The ship's abilities were incredible. It could manipulate gravity, making things float or crushing them with invisible force. It could phase through solid matter, becoming like a ghost. Its shields could absorb energy from weapons and store it for later use. But many systems were damaged. Millions of years of sleep had taken their toll. Hana was an engineer. Fixing things was what she did. She began to repair what she could, using her own materials and her knowledge of machines. While she worked, she tried not to think about home, about whether anyone was looking for her. Someone was. Had known Hana for 10 years. They had trained together, worked together, and survived together. When she did not return from the graveyard, he knew something was wrong. He flew his own ship to 4 and found her pod, still docked to nothing. The ship it had been attached to was gone. Only the marks on the asteroid remained. Reported the situation to the authorities. A salvage worker had found an unknown vessel and disappeared. The Galactic Concord took notice. Unknown ships meant unknown dangers. They sent investigators. And then the investigators found something that made them very nervous. The energy signature that Hana's pod had recorded before she vanished. It matched legends, old stories about ships that could destroy fleets, ships built by beings who had died before most current species existed. Architect technology. The Concord's military was alerted. Admiral, a commander known for his harsh methods, took personal interest. If the legends were true, that ship was the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. It could not be allowed to remain in the hands of one human. Orders went out: find the ship, Capture it if possible, destroy it if necessary. Heard whispers about these orders. He did not like what he heard. Hana was not a threat. She was his friend. And if the Conquered found her before he did, they would not care about her safety. He gathered a small crew, humans who owed him favors, pilots who did not ask too many questions. They set out to find Hana before anyone else could. In the depths of space, detected ships approaching. The connection between Hana and the vessel had grown stronger. She felt warning like a chill down her spine. "What is it?" she asked. Showed her a Conquered warship, heavily armed, moving fast. Hana's blood went cold. She was not ready for this, was still damaged, still healing. They could not fight. "Can we run?" Was not sure, but it would try. Hana took her place in the pilot's chair. The connection deepened. She was Hana and she was, and together they turned toward the empty darkness between stars. Behind them the warship followed. A derelict ship forgotten by all, until a human engineer made it a galactic powerhouse. Part 3: The Hunted. The Conquered warship was called the Iron Judgment. It was one of the largest vessels in the fleet, armed with weapons that could crack planets. Admiral stood on its bridge and watched the strange black ship try to escape. "Increase speed," he ordered. "Do not let it reach the border." His species had scales and sharp teeth. They were warriors by nature and was one of the best. He had fought in 3 wars and won them all. He did not like mysteries. He did not like things he could not control. And this ship was both. The report said a human had found it. One human woman alone did not trust humans. They were a young species, barely 100 years in space. They were small and soft and lived such short lives. Yet they spread across the galaxy like weeds, adapting to places where other species could not survive. If a human controlled an architect's ship, the balance of power would shift. Could not allow that. "Send a message," he said. "Tell them to surrender. This is their only warning." Inside, Hana heard the message through the ship's communication systems. The voice was cold and formal. It promised safety if she gave up. It promised destruction if she refused. Hana did not believe it. "They will take you apart," she said too. "They will study you until there is nothing left." Agreed. It had seen what happened to architect technology in the wrong hands. Weapons, experiments, death. It would rather die than face that again. "Then we run." Hana pushed deeper into her connection with. The ship responded. They moved as one, diving toward a nearby asteroid field. The rocks were thick here, spinning in chaotic patterns. Any normal ship would slow down. Did not. Through senses, Hana saw everything. Every asteroid, every gap between them. She guided the ship through spaces that should have been too small, turning and spinning with perfect control. The Iron Judgment followed, but it was slower. Larger ships could not take the same risks. Watched the black vessel dance through the rocks and felt something he did not like to admit. "Fear. Launch fighters," he commanded. Smaller ships poured from the warship's belly. They were fast and deadly, designed to hunt targets in difficult terrain. Dozens of them spread out, trying to surround. Hana felt them coming. The fighters were too many. She could not dodge them all. "Can you phase?" The phasing system was still damaged. Could become like a ghost, passing through solid matter. But it took enormous energy, and the repairs were not complete. Tried anyway. The ship flickered. For a moment, Hana felt herself become something less than solid. The fighters' weapons passed through her, through them. They hit nothing but empty space. Then the system failed, became solid again, and Hana screamed as the feedback hit her mind like a hammer. "That was too much," she gasped. "We cannot do that again." Apologized. It was trying its best. Hana looked at the situation. Fighters behind, asteroids ahead, the warship waiting beyond. There was no clear path to escape. Unless she made one. "Show me the phase drive," she said. "I need to see what is broken." opened its systems to her. Hana examined the damage with her engineer's eyes. The drive was not completely broken. It was just misaligned, like a door that had swelled in its frame. It needed adjustment, not replacement. She guided its repair systems with her thoughts. The ship's internal machines moved according to her wishes. They pushed here, pulled there, realigned components that had shifted over millions of years. It was not perfect, but it might be enough. "Try again," Hana said. "One more time, get us through those rocks." Trusted her, the ship activated the phase drive. This time it held. Hana felt herself dissolve into something beyond matter, pass through the asteroids like light through glass. The fighters could not follow. They crashed into rocks or pulled away at the last moment. When they emerged on the other side, the Iron Judgment was far behind. But they were not safe, would not give up. He would call for more ships. He would hunt them across the galaxy if he had to. Hana needed help, and she knew only one person who might come. She used communication systems to send a coded message. It was a code she had created years ago, back when they were young engineers who thought they might need to hide things from their employers. She did not know if he would receive it. She did not know if he would come. But she had to try. Far away, on a small ship crewed by humans who asked no questions, received the message. He read it twice to make sure he understood. Hana was alive, she was being hunted, she needed him. "Change course," he told his pilot. "I know where she is going." Back on the Iron Judgment, Admiral received a report from one of his officers. Specialist 1 was a human who served in Conquered Intelligence. She was smart and loyal, which made her valuable, but she was still human and never fully trusted her. "The ship escaped through the asteroid field," one reported. "Our fighters lost contact." "I can see that," growled. "Find them." One hesitated. "Sir, may I ask a question?" "Speak." "The orders say to capture or destroy. But if we capture the ship, what happens to the pilot?" Looked at her with cold eyes. "The pilot is human. She cannot be allowed to control architect technology. The Conquered has decided." "Decided what exactly?" "That the ship must be taken, by any means necessary. If the pilot resists, she will be removed. If she cannot be removed, she will be eliminated along with the ship." One kept her face calm, but her heart was racing. She had seen the reports. The pilot was a salvage worker, not a soldier. She had done nothing wrong except touch the wrong ship at the wrong time. And now the Conquered wanted to kill her for it. That night, one sent a secret message of her own. She used channels that humans had built for emergencies, channels that the Conquered did not know about. She warned them about the Admiral's plans. The message found its way too. He read it with growing anger. The Conquered was not trying to rescue Hana. They were trying to murder her. "Faster," he told his pilot. "We need to reach her first." The race across the stars had begun. Somewhere in the darkness, Hana flew with, not knowing how many people were searching for her. Some wanted to help, some wanted to destroy. And deep in ancient memory, something else stirred. The ship remembered why the architects had died. It remembered the enemy that had hunted them. And it felt, for the first time in millions of years, the faintest echo of that enemy's presence. Something was waking up, something old and terrible. But that was a problem for another day. Right now, Hana had to survive. She pointed toward the unknown and flew on. A derelict ship forgotten by all, until a human engineer made it a galactic powerhouse. Part 4: The Forbidden World. The signal came from nowhere. One moment was flying through empty space. The next moment, the ship stopped and turned toward a distant star. Hana felt excitement through their bond. It was like a child recognizing a parent's voice. "What is it?" she asked. Showed her. A distress call, broadcast on frequencies that no modern species used. The call was millions of years old, repeating endlessly, and it came from a planet called Seven. Hana searched her memory. She knew that name. 7 was a forbidden world. The conquered had sealed it off centuries ago. They said the planet was unstable, that the ground could collapse at any moment. No one was allowed to go there. Another ship, Hana realized. There is another architect ship on that planet. Confirmed, a sister, a brother, another survivor from the old war. It had crashed there long ago and never woke up. Hana understood what wanted, but going to a forbidden world while the conquered was hunting her seemed insane. She did not have to decide alone. 3 days after leaving the asteroid field found her. His ship appeared on sensors, small and fast. Hana felt relief flood through her when she recognized the signal codes. She was not alone anymore. They docked together in empty space, came aboard with 2 others. Captain Songbai was a former military pilot who now worked as a freelance transporter. She was tough and practical, with short hair and eyes that had seen too much. Was a historian who had spent his life studying old legends. He was thin and nervous, but his knowledge was valuable. Hugged Hana the moment he saw her. "You scared me," he said. "I thought you were dead." "Not dead," Hana replied, "just very confused." She showed them. She explained the bond, the history, everything she had learned. Almost cried when he touched the walls of the ancient ship. "Architect technology," he whispered. "I never thought I would see it with my own eyes." Hana told them about the signal from 7. She told them about the conquered hunting her, about Admiral's orders. They had a choice. They could run and hide forever, or they could go to the forbidden world and find out what was there. Bai crossed her arms. "Flying to a sealed planet with the entire conquered navy behind us, that sounds like suicide." "Maybe," Hana admitted, "but needs to know what happened to the other ship. And if there is more architect technology there, we cannot let the conquered find it first." Looked at its walls at the soft glow of ancient light. "I trust you," he said to Hana. "If you think this is right, I will follow." Nodded eagerly. Bai sighed and shook her head, but she did not refuse. They flew to 7. The planet was dead. No plants, no water, just endless plains of rock and dust. The Conquered's blockade surrounded it but phased through their sensors without being seen. Landing was harder. The ground was unstable, just as the warning said. Great cracks split the surface, revealing darkness below. Hana guided down carefully, finding a flat area near the source of the signal. They found the ruins within an hour. A city, or what was left of one. Architect buildings rose from the dust like bones. They were beautiful and sad, monuments to a people who no longer existed. At the center of the ruins lay the other ship. It was larger than but damaged badly. Part of it had been crushed when it crashed. The rest looked dead, no lights, no movement. But Hana felt something through her bond with, a presence, weak and broken but alive. "There is still a mind in there," she said. "The ship is still conscious." They approached carefully, documented everything, his hands shaking with excitement. Bai kept watch, her weapon ready, stayed close to Hana. When they entered the crashed ship, the presence became stronger and angrier. The attack came without warning. Lights flashed, walls moved. Hana was thrown against the floor as gravity shifted around her. The other ship's mind screamed into hers through the bond. It was insane. Millions of years of isolation had broken it. It did not see Hana and as friends. It saw them as invaders, threats. "Stop," Hana shouted, but the corrupted ship did not listen. Fought back, protecting Hana with its own mind. The 2 architect vessels battled in ways that had no physical form. Thoughts against thoughts, memories against memories. Hana saw the other ship's pain. It remembered its pilot, an architect who had died in the crash. It remembered calling for help that never came. It remembered being alone as the centuries passed, as its mind slowly fell apart. She felt sorry for it, but she also needed it to stop. She called out. The architects had shut down codes, emergency commands to stop ships that went wrong. do you know them?" Was pressed against a wall by invisible force, but his mind was still working. "Yes, the codes were hidden in their language patterns. I studied them for years." He shouted a phrase in a language that had not been spoken for millions of years. The words echoed through the ship. The corrupted mind paused. It recognized something. Hana pushed through the connection. She showed the broken ship her memories. She showed it, awake and healthy. She showed it that not everything was lost, that the architect's legacy still survived. The corrupted ship trembled. Its rage faded into something sadder. It understood now. The war was over. Its pilot was dead. There was nothing left to protect. Spoke more words, gentle now, like a prayer for the dying. The corrupted ship began to shut down. Its lights dimmed. Its mind grew quiet. Before it faded completely, it gave one last gift. Information, coordinates, the location of the architect's final stronghold, the last place they had gathered before the end. Then the ship died, truly died this time. The mind was gone. Hana stood in silence. She felt grief. They had found a survivor only to watch it pass. There was no time to mourn. Bai's communicator buzzed with warning signals. "Conquered fleet incoming," she said. "The admiral found us." They ran back too. Through the ship's sensors, Hana saw the iron judgment descending through the atmosphere. Fighters spread around it like hungry insects. "We cannot escape the same way," said. "The phase drive needs time to recharge." Hana looked at the approaching fleet. She looked at her friends who had come all this way to help her. She made a decision. "I will not run anymore." She connected fully with. The ship's weapons came online. Systems that had been dormant for millions of years woke up. The iron judgment fired first. Energy beams cut through the air, aimed at. The shields absorbed them, just as they were designed to do. The energy flowed into systems, making them stronger. Hana fired back, not to kill, not to destroy, just to disable. Weapons hit the iron judgment's engines. The massive warship lost power and began to fall. Emergency systems caught it before it crashed, but it would not fly again today. The fighters scattered in confusion. Their command ship was down. They did not know what to do. Hana broadcast a message on all channels. "I did not start this fight. I will not destroy anyone who leaves now, but I will defend myself and my crew. The choice is yours." The fighters retreated. Rose from 7, carrying Hana and her friends toward the stars. Behind them, Admiral sat in his crippled ship and watched them go. He had underestimated the human. He would not make that mistake again. But for now, they were free, and they had a new destination. The architect's final stronghold awaited. A derelict ship forgotten by all, until a human engineer made it a galactic powerhouse. Part 5: The Galactic Powerhouse. News traveled fast across the galaxy. A human had bonded with an architect ship. She had defeated a conquered warship without killing a single person. She had technology that could change everything. Some species were afraid. They remembered old stories about the architects, about weapons that could destroy stars. They demanded that the human be stopped, that the ship be taken apart. Other species were curious. They wondered if this human might be different, if she might share what she had found instead of using it against them. The Galactic Concord called an emergency meeting at HFY, the great station at the center of known space. Representatives from every major species gathered to decide what to do. Hana came to the meeting. She had no choice. Running forever was not an option. Hiding would only make things worse. The only way forward was to face the galaxy and tell them the truth. Waited outside the station, watched by 100 warships that did not dare get too close. Hana walked into the great hall alone, though she was never truly alone anymore. Was always with her, a warm presence in the back of her mind. The council chamber was enormous. Thousands of delegates sat in curved rows that rose toward a domed ceiling painted with stars. At the center was a platform where speakers stood. Hana took her place on that platform. She felt small and afraid, but she had faced worse in the past weeks. Counselor Park Dong, Earth's representative, stood nearby. He was an older man with hair and kind eyes. He had fought hard to arrange this moment, to give Hana a chance to speak before the conquered made any decisions. "Tell them everything," he had advised her. "Hide nothing. They are afraid of what they do not understand. Make them understand." Admiral was there too. His scales looked darker than before and his eyes burned with anger. He had been humiliated at 7. He wanted revenge. Hana began to speak. She told them about finding in the graveyard. She told them about the bond, about what it felt like to share a mind with something ancient and wise. She told them about the architects, the great builders who had created ships that were more than machines. Then she told them how the architects had died. Through her connection with, Hana shared the ship's memories with the entire council. It was something had never done before, opening itself to so many minds at once, but they had agreed it was necessary. The delegates saw what had seen, the architects at the height of their power building wonders across the galaxy. Then the darkness came, an enemy without name or shape, something that consumed everything it touched. The architects fought. They lost. In the end, they hid their ships and their knowledge, hoping someone would find them someday. Someone who could finish what they started. The vision faded. The council sat in stunned silence. "The enemy that killed the architects is still out there," Hana said. "Has felt it stirring. It knows we are here now. It knows the architect's ships are waking up." She paused to let the words sink in. "You can fight me. You can try to take apart. You can spend years arguing about who should control this technology. But while you do that, the enemy will grow stronger. And when it comes, none of your weapons will stop it. None of your fleets will survive." A delegate stood up. "Why should we trust you? You are one human with one ship. What can you do against such a threat?" "Alone? Nothing." Hana looked around the chamber. "But I am not asking to stand alone. I am asking you to stand with me." She explained her plan. The architect's ships were designed to bond with pilots, had chosen a human because human minds were compatible, but they might not be the only compatible species. Hana wanted to train pilots from across the galaxy. She wanted to search for more architect vessels, wake them up, and build a fleet that could face the coming darkness. "I will share everything," she said. "Every secret, every piece of technology. This is not about humans becoming powerful. This is about all of us surviving together." The chamber erupted in argument. Some delegates supported her. Others accused her of lying. Admiral demanded that she be arrested. Then something unexpected happened. A signal reached the station. Every screen in the chamber flickered. A voice spoke, cold and vast like the space between stars. "We remember," the voice said. "We waited, now we wake." The Watcher had found them. Through the station's sensors, they saw it. A shape in the darkness beyond the fleet. Something massive and wrong, something that hurt to look at. The enemy that had destroyed the architects was here. Panic spread through the chamber. Delegates screamed. Guards ran to their posts. Hana did not panic. She felt calm certainty flowing through her. "Listen to me," she shouted, and her voice carried across the chaos. "This is what I was warning you about. This is why we need to work together, right now." The Watcher spoke again. "You are small things, brief things. You will end as all things end." Admiral stepped forward. His anger had changed into something else, something harder. He looked at Hana with new eyes. "You disabled my ship without killing anyone," he said. "You could have destroyed us, but you did not. Why?" "Because we are not enemies," Hana replied. "We never were." Was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to the council. "I was wrong about her," he said. The words seemed to cost him greatly. "I let fear guide my judgment, but this threat is real. I have seen what her ship can do. If she is willing to help us, we should accept." Other voices joined his. The fear of the Watcher had done what Hana's words could not. It had united them. The council voted. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. They would work with Hana. They would build a new fleet. They would face the darkness together. The Watcher watched all of this. Then slowly it retreated. It was not ready to attack, not yet. It had waited millions of years. It could wait a little longer. But now the galaxy knew it was coming. In the weeks that followed, Hana became the center of something new. Pilots came from every species to learn from her, helped her understand what to look for, which minds could form the bond, which could not. Became her second in command. Bai trained the pilots in combat tactics. One, who had risked everything to warn them about plans, joined their crew as an intelligence officer. Even stayed, continuing his study of architect history. New ships were found. Some were hidden in asteroid fields. Others were buried on forgotten moons. Each one was damaged, each one was alone, and each one was waiting for a pilot who would never come. Hana gave them pilots, humans and others. Not all of them succeeded. The bond was difficult, but enough did. The fleet grew. On the day the first squadron completed its training, Hana stood on its bridge and watched them fly in formation. 20 ships that had been dead now lived again. 20 pilots who had been ordinary were now something more. Counselor Dong sent her a message of congratulations. Admiral sent supplies and volunteers. Even species that had voted against her began sending candidates. Spoke to Hana through their bond. Its voice was clearer now, shaped by years of connection. Words instead of just feelings. We waited long, said. So many years, so much silence. I know, Hana replied. You were worth waiting for. Hana smiled. Outside, the stars shone bright and cold. Somewhere in the darkness, the Watcher was growing stronger. War was coming, a war that would decide the fate of the galaxy. But Hana was not afraid. She had her crew, she had her fleet, she had. And she had something the architects never had. Unity. The galaxy was working together, different species with different histories, all facing the same enemy. The humans had not conquered anyone. They had not taken power for themselves. Instead, they had done something more important. They had given the galaxy hope. Hana took the pilot's chair, hummed around her, alive and ready. Where do we go now? Asked. Hana looked at the stars. There were more ships to find, more pilots to train, more work to do. Forward, she said, always forward. Turned toward the unknown, and they flew together into whatever came next.